And everybody, welcome to the last day of February edition of the Arkansas Diamond Report with Dudley, Dawson. I'm Jason. I want to thank y'all for jumping on with us this morning. I'm going to tell you what, I feel like this season for Mike Neighbors, it's been a gut punch in any way, shape, or form possible. And last night, I think might have been the worst one. Oh, hold on. You're on mute there, man. Can't hear you, Dudley.
There, is that better?
Oh, so much better. Yes.
Yeah, I was saying that I don't know that it was a gut punch. I think it went to another area last night. It's even
South of
tougher.
the border.
What Izzy and her teammates put forward a great effort. Izzy hit 32, obviously. I think they did a great job at helping her get some open shots, get the drives that she needed. But to lose it like that, it's just so tough. But indicative of the season. Obviously one game left in the regular season at Texas A&M, which is obviously one of their two conference wins. They are solidified with Georgia, I guess, in the basement of the 16-team league now. And as you and I were talking about a little bit last night, there's been some speculation about job status and all that, and I'm sure that'll be, taken care of one way or the other next week in terms of announcing positive news, different news, or whatever. Because obviously you've got a situation where, as Coach Neighbors talked about at his press conference the other day, he's got stuff he's planning on doing the first day that the season's over with, and that has to do with trying to improve the program. We'll see if he gets the opportunity to do that.
Yep, and that's what I couldn't understand. That's the reason why I wanted to reach out to you too, because there's a lot of people not in the fan side of Arkansas, but the administrative side of Arkansas that understand what Mike has been up against this entire offseason and now season. And I understand that you can't keep getting kicked in the teeth by 30 points a game. I get that. But at the same time, do you let the guy try to give him some more support that he didn't have this offseason and give him one more chance? Because, I mean, at that point, you're looking at a buyout.
Yeah, you're one of these situations where you do your best not to become friends with coaches and all that over the years. But I knew him before he got into coaching, and he's been a friend for a long time. I still think I'm objective about his situation. 2 out of 8 getting to the NCAA tournament if they don't, run off and win the SEC tournament next week is tough to take. That's not a situation that you want your programs to be in, especially when a lot of the other ones are being so successful. They do not have the NIL money and situations that the other schools in the conference do. I know that bugs him, but he tries to do what he can with what he's gotten. The issues obviously, stem from not only getting to the tournament 2 out of the last 7 years, but also, it just was not a good off season in terms of kids going elsewhere and those kids going in your conference. It seems like every night they play, there's somebody from Arkansas that's playing on another team, and that's tough. And then to go 9-21 it's really tough.
What's up, Tatum?
Yeah, he's I don't know, his bowl is full over there. His octagon, as we call it, is the flaps open. He's able to go in and out. So I don't know what possibly could be an issue unless he had something he wanted to say about the women's basketball team. So
I think you might have been given props to Izzy Higginbottom. No matter which team they faced, except for 3-4 team run towards in the middle of the SEC season, teams have been keying on her, knowing that she is the top scorer Arkansas has, and yet she keeps producing multiple 20-point, 25-point, 30-point games. That has been, I think, the biggest bright spot that this team has had, because she's been able to overcome, double teams, people keying on her, putting the best defender on her each night, and she still keeps producing.
Yeah, that phrase that Coach Neighbors uses, she's always at the top of the scout, and we know that because of leading the SEC in scoring, and it's just been a phenomenal season. I'm glad she got a chance to come up here and play. I know that's what she would have wanted to do to start off with. Things didn't work out, but at least she had this year. Been a joy to watch play even during this season that obviously has been frustrating for them. It was quite the matchup last night. 2-12 teams trying to stay out of the basement along with Georgia. And I thought, she played well. And again, I think the teammates did a good job at putting her in positions to score. And you just hate that that's the way the ball game ended if you're just a neutral observer, one way or the other. And for somebody to come off the ball and steal it, when they were trying to get to it, made it even worse. Because there are turnovers, and then there are turnovers that lead right to baskets, and that was one of them. You go back and you think maybe she should have been inbounding the ball, but with 6 seconds left, that would have taken a lot of activity to get it back to her. But again, she's been a joy to watch play, and whether she gets a chance to play in the WNBA or whatever, I'm sure she's going to be a success just because of the drive she has.
Definitely,
literally and figuratively.
I was going to say, because it seems like she's got that motor that just does not quit, and it's you can see it on the court with her motion, and that's one of the things that I was hoping that would kind of feed and kind of spread to the rest of the perimeter players. But I don't know. I felt like even though they were able to key on her, she was able to produce, and unfortunately she just wasn't able to get some of the production that was going along beside her.
Well, being a guy that grew up in Newport with rivalry with Batesville, it takes an awful lot for me to say kind words about somebody from Batesville. That's just the Arkansas, Texas type rivalry and stuff back then. But obviously she's done a wonderful job since high school. They absolutely adore her down there, as they should. It's interesting. She actually started at Missouri, and that would have been her last home game. Obviously she played against them. There was some talk earlier in this year about the possibility of letting players who had only played 4 years, not redshirting that, come back. And I think Coach Neighbors was excited about that for a while, but it kind of moved to the wayside. I don't understand why, because if you go to junior college, you can play like 8 years now.
That's true.
In a prep school, you can fit in there too. But again, the ultimate compliment I can give her is just she's an unbelievable competitor, and she just got better every year, and that's because of her work ethic. And you have to frame that all within her battling injuries and being only practice 1 or so practices a week.
Yeah, and I'm going to allude to John Calipari for just a hot second, because he was talking about that very thing last couple of days, where you're not going up against a team that's 20, 21, 22-year-olds. You're going up against 23 and 24-year-olds. And if I'm not mistaken, Texas's basketball team is right around the same age as the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, I saw a graphic on that the other day. I think one's 23 and one's 24 average, which is just nuts. But man, you have to give the OKC people such a great deal of respect for what they built over there. They tanked and said, "Here's how we're going to do it."
Yep,
and did it. Maybe this club right here can find a way to do something like that. All they've done is stayed in Midland in the off season this year. So
yeah, they didn't do too much. I mean, other than the news about John Mozeliak stepping down after is at the end of this year.
Yes, woo woo. Chaim Bloom. I've learned that Chaim is pronounced Chaim, not Chaim.
Gotcha.
Bloom, and so he'll be the general manager next year, and hopefully there'll be some things done different. We'll still see if my favorite baseball player, Nolan Arenado, gets moved. If he doesn't, I think that's probably. I'm happy to get to watch him play, but he's done so much over his career that I wish he would get the opportunity to play for championships, and that's not going to happen in the current uniform he's in.
Nope. And I'm kind of wondering if the way that they're moving with John Mozeliak out the door at the end of this year, Ollie Marmol might be the next guy to go after that too.
It'd be interesting. It just depends on the record and all that and how they do. But Albert Pujols is just sitting over there waiting in the wings, not to play, but to manage. He's managed in the Dominican and has gotten some things there. I think he's probably the next candidate to be the manager, and it'll be interesting to see whether that comes mid-season after the season, or if I'd love to be wrong and then them compete for an NL Central. It's not great.
No.
It's just we'll have to see about that.
Yep. And another friendly face that I would like to see come back in a coaching capacity also for the Cardinals is Yadi Molina. That would be an excellent hire.
Yeah, I mean, he's in fact been an assistant player coach for a while anyway. Obviously I'm sure he's enjoying not having to get behind the plate every day these days. But one of the things that you have to really be excited about is the young guys, but there's just not enough of them. And what's going to be interesting is the pitching is going to revamp itself next year because Teen Kent's from Arkansas, Matthew McGreevy, Quinn Matthews, all those guys have the opportunity to step into roles that 35 and 36-year-olds are currently taking part of.
Well, and like you said, the young guys, Arkansas this weekend, Charlotte, first pitch this weekend today on ESPN, or I'm sorry, SEC Network Plus all weekend. Again, Charlotte first pitch is at 3:00, Saturday at 2, and then Sunday at noon. Should be some pretty great weather out there to go out in the hog pen, go grill for a little bit, catch some rays and catch some baseball this weekend.
Yeah, and excited to see them back home. Obviously, I was sick that first week, and we rested up the second week to try to get back fully healthy. So this will be the first game that I've actually been at this year. I've been covering it from TV and stuff, which it's just not the same. So looking forward to being in the press box, cracking jokes as I do. And just seeing live baseball. There's nothing like it. I mean, I've got 3 TVs here in the office, 1 big, 2 small. That each day while I'm writing are on 3 spring training games around noon.
Man, well, that's the thing is, between lady basketball last night, you got Razorback men's basketball tomorrow noon at South Carolina. I was going over this with Otis too. You got gym backs tonight. You have softball tonight. Tomorrow you've got, men's basketball, softball, and men's baseball as well. And then again on Sunday, softball, baseball. I mean, if you're a Razorback fan and you have nothing to do, then there's something wrong there, because there is a jam-packed schedule for you for a full 3 days of going back and forth between Bud Walton, Bogle, and Baum this weekend. And it's going to be fun.
Yeah, super fan Rick and his wife Dee will be plenty busy shuffling between events this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm going to be out at Bogle this weekend for the Woo Pig Classic. You've got Arkansas and Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri State that are in town this weekend. It's going to be great because this is the home opener at Bogle for Courtney, and it's an electric staff that she's got. I think that the bats are going to liven up a little bit. I know that you're facing a top 5 team last weekend with UCLA. That was a tough one. They dropped 9-1, but at the same time, that kind of was a measuring stick of where this team is early on. And I think that was a good barometer of what Courtney needs to help or kind of work on and look at whenever they start to take on top tier talent.
Yeah, Coach Dyfel made a point that, if you watch the UCLA game, which I had the opportunity to do, it was closer than the score appears, at least for the most part of the game. They did 3-run home run, had a big final inning to put the run rule in effect. But, they competed. It was good to see that early in the year. I did see LSU beat UCLA yesterday. So SEC got a win there against them. But it's a very explosive offensive team that the UCLA has. And obviously it was the best team that Arkansas had faced in terms of pitching and overall, power this year. And UCLA is going to be really good this year. But Arkansas at 14-1. I guess you could get off to just a little bit better start, but not much better. And it's been offense, defense, about to say special teams, but just a situation where the young players and the veterans have all been mixing well. And I can't say enough about what Bree Ellis is doing, but also Courtney Day, who has 6 home runs herself and was the last player added to this team as a transfer coming into the second semester. And she has certainly been a find after a year of taking softball off and then deciding to come back and play with a lot of her friends that she played with during the summers.
I have got some breaking news for you. This just came across about 8-9 minutes ago. So they have set the dates for Arkansas spring practice that will start promptly on Monday, March 10th. Spring game they are going to have a red-white scrimmage on Saturday, April 19th as part of a Woo Pig weekend. This is coming from the press release from Arkansas communications staff. And so it's going to, instead of be an event, Park Hill softball hosting Colorado State that weekend at Bogle Park. And then Texas A&M will be in town that weekend as well. So
number one team in the country in, I guess, 4 of the 5 polls. That's interesting because a lot of teams, a lot of programs have decided to just drop a spring game, not give other folks a chance, other teams a chance to watch what they're doing and to get away from injuries. That's kind of chicken, what to me. But, I guess you'll get to see an opportunity to see Arkansas.
Yep. The spring game or the red-white scrimmage will kick off at 1 p.m. and gates will open at noon. So a little bit of action for you guys, football action there for y'all. I really was really kind of taken back by how Texas A&M performed over the weekend and midweek for that matter. That guy from Texas State, man, that guy it looked like he was chewing glass out there on the mound, just sitting there cussing and chomping and talking and squawking. I mean, if there was some, I think he probably would have argued with the Gnat if he could have on the mound that night, because it just seemed like any and everything that he was doing, he just had something to say. And I thought it was kind of funny because he was so riled up, and he did sit down Texas A&M one of those innings. And I'm going to tell you, I really was surprised, though, with the way how Texas A&M has performed against some of these teams that you thought that they would have probably run ruled.
Yeah, and that's 2 losses last week, I guess, wasn't it? Or one last week, one this week, maybe. The carrying that number 1 mantle is a pretty tough deal. You got to be ready every night because you're going to be everybody's Super Bowl.
Yeah,
obviously, or World Series, I guess might be the right way to say that. But I think that when you look at the Athletic, which is one of the sites I follow a lot, they came out with their first college baseball poll ever, and there were 5 SEC teams. Arkansas was number 2 in its poll. They've been, pretty much 4, and the rest of them, with the outlier being Perfect Game, which obviously had as Arkansas 13, 11 different things. So that's the outlier, as I said. But it's interesting how good one day's pitching can really get you going, and that we saw that with Texas A&M last week. And coming in here next weekend will be Portland, a young man who fan 12 threw a perfect game in 86 pitches, and I'm sure he'll get to start against Arkansas in one of those games next weekend at the same 3-2 and noon. So we'll be looking forward to seeing him because a perfect game on 86 pitches in college baseball is pretty special.
It is. I mean, that's some Greg Maddux type stuff where the efficiency is through the roof, having 6 and 7 pitch innings and not only 1 or 2, but actually stacking 3 and 4. That's the only way that you're able to reach a 68 or 86 pitch game. And that right there means that your stuff is really moving. You got the velocity spin and the spin just perfect, where you're just able to get right outside of that strike zone, getting people to chase.
And speaking of moving, you throw a few more like that, you'll be moving on to an SEC, Big 12, whatever team. That's just the way things are. Free agency in college athletics. So obviously Arkansas will get a chance to see him unless he's gets hurt between now and then. So who knows? Maybe he'll pitch for them this year and Arkansas next year. You never know.
So looking at the matchup this weekend with Charlotte, what does Arkansas need to do as far as, because I know you've paid attention more to the Charlotte side of this than I have. What does Arkansas need to do to evade any landmines happening this weekend?
Well, you've got three really good pitchers going. Obviously, Gage Wood's going to be out several weeks. You're lucky to have Cheese, Landon Beetle Cheese, filling in for him on Sunday's game. A guy who was going to be Ohio State's ace if he stayed. So, it's not a bad little one to step in. And we all get questions about how are they going to work all these pitchers in the starting rows. These things usually take care of themselves, and they did as Gage Wood went out for the third inning last weekend during his start after fanning six and looked like he was going to be on the way to a pretty good outing. But, basically it's just throw strikes. You have a better baseball team than Charlotte. It's just the way things are these days. Now, they can win on one day if they get a great pitching or if Arkansas doesn't play defense. But if Arkansas's three guys go out and throw the way that they threw last weekend, they should be fine. And I include Gabe Gackle in that, who didn't have his best stuff last weekend, but kind of got through it. Mm-hmm. I suspect he'll be fired up to get things going in the second of a 10-game homestand right now.
Is there any names from Charlotte that might pop out for some fans that if they see him coming up and be like, okay, this is a guy that they need to really be careful with at the plate?
I believe that I would say that I don't want to act like the smartest guy in the room because I'm not, but I would say that I did a cursory look at him and not a deep dive on them. They have a reliever who was named their conference player the week last week, pitching twice. So they've got a guy if they get a lead that they can bring in and shut it down. But they've been just, for lack of a better way to put it, an average team to this point. So you just got to go out and take care of your business. And usually Arkansas has a great record at home, and unless you do something to allow them to stay in the game, you should be able to get your wins this weekend.
And the last question I've got for you on this, and this is not, I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, but I feel like it's applicable. Is there any purple in the jerseys Charlotte wears?
It's green. They're green.
Okay.
49ers are green in this case, not red and gold or whatever. But I've already checked this morning to make sure I didn't show up in somebody's colors. So.
With the whole thing with K-State and then TCU, and they finally got over that TCU hump on Saturday, I had to bring that up because that's kind of been a little bit small narrative that would happen from last weekend with some of the writers, that if there's a purple team facing Arkansas, you might want to hold your breath. That I had to ask that, though. I had to today.
Who had the younger Aloy leading the team in hitting? Didn't see that one coming. I mean, he had some power during the scrimmages during the fall, and but he's come out on fire, settling into that DH role. I think has played half the games that his brother has, and has better stats. It's interesting, but I know they're giving away posters today. These little posters, calling them the Bash Brothers, the Hawaiian term they use. So. They get there early and you can get one of those, I guess, if that's your deal.
And what time are they opening the gates at 1:30 or 2 o'clock?
I think it's 1:30.
1:30. So y'all want to catch a poster, make sure you guys get there when the gates open at 1:30 this afternoon. Hog Pen, I do believe, opens at the same time at 1:30. I would be venturous to go out there and grab a hamburger or hot dog from one of those folks out there, because it always seems like they got some good food out there. It smells really good.
They know how to pregame, in-game, and postgame.
Yeah, that is the truth. That is the truth. Really quick before I get you out of here, I talked to Otis about this last night a little bit. I'm not sure if you've had a chance to kind of look at it at all, but with the Big Ten and the SEC in football, possibly moving to a 9-game schedule with a SEC Big Ten kind of challenge, if you will. I just don't know if that's going to be the right. I don't know if that's the best decision for the SEC because they get their teeth kicked in every once in a while just because there's a team that sneaks up on them. The league is super stout. I feel like 8 games is something that might be better for the league, but I just don't know if that's. I don't know if 9 games is going to be the way.
Yeah, I've been a proponent of just having 8 games and being able to have those other four as non-conference ones, and you need to have one of those be a legitimate power that you face. But it has been moved to where it's going to be the SEC and the Big Ten making all the decisions for college football. And if all the other conferences are playing 9, then it's not fair unless you play 9 too. And I think that's what's pushing this. I mean, you look at Arkansas' schedule next year for football: Notre Dame, Memphis. Those are 2 back-to-back that are going to be tough on you. Those are not your W's that you suspect. So,
and you also have the A-State Super Bowl.
Yeah, really. That is the second game of the season in Little Rock. Should be fun. I mean, some people get on me about this. That's fine. I don't give a what. It's one of those things that I grew up near Jonesboro, across from Memphis, and I did Little Rock. Went to a lot of Arkansas State games. I don't have any problems with them playing each other. And I watched a lot of AIC games back in the day, and I've always been happy to see those games and all that. Happy to see those teams do well. And I don't walk around afraid. I got a dog. I don't walk around afraid. So.
No, I think it's good for the state also because, I mean, really, you look at the state. Arkansas, of course, is the professional team of Arkansas. You have the A-State Wolves, which are really the semi-professional team of Arkansas, kind of that second tier. And I don't think that there's anything bad to come of it for Arkansas other than the fact that you got some guys that you may be trying to play out of their minds, but at the same time, that's going to be great competition on a team or against a team that I think Arkansas players might not take as serious, that are going to have to be forced to take serious.
You better, because they're going to come out with their hair on fire. They don't get the opportunity to do this. There have been many years here lately where I think Arkansas State would have won the game if they had played each other. And certainly, I kind of look at the NCAA tournament. Arkansas State's had a great season over there. A couple of guys, Joseph Pinion, Darian Ford, former Arkansas players that have had really good seasons, especially Joseph. Will we find somewhere in a regional that could be a second round game? That would be interesting because I think Arkansas State's, as I said, really good. Arkansas has obviously won 7 of their last 10, I think it is, and turned things around. Big trap game noon tomorrow at South Carolina. South Carolina has not been good, but they've not been horrible either. They've been in a lot of these games. You better go down there and be ready to play, because at this time, when you're trying to get into the NCAA tournament, a horrible loss is the worst thing you can get. You can win games, but you cannot have a horrible loss and allow somebody else to position themselves in the first 4 in, the first 4 out, the first 4 buys. All that stuff that they use.
I really think that if Arkansas can go into Colonial Life Arena, go in there, punch South Carolina in the mouth early. South Carolina is 11-16 this season. And really, there's one guy that you have to really concentrate on. That's Colin Murray Boyles.
Yep,
leads the team.
Very good big guy. Very good big guy.
Yeah, leads the team in scoring and rebounds. And at this point, I would think with Arkansas being so shorthanded, I think that you concentrate on making sure that he does not get his and make somebody else beat you tomorrow.
And one of the best things is that's a noon game, as I said. Then you can have baseball and softball starting at 3. So. That allows time for you to get an opportunity to watch all of those. If you don't make it to the games, they're all available on streaming situation.
Yep.
On your smart TV. And again, if you don't have a smart TV, why are you being so dumb?
That is the truth, because I'm at this point, it seems like that's the way to go. whenever, and I don't know if do they even sell TVs that are not smart TVs these days?
I don't go to that section, so if I only go to the smart TV section. So if they do, then it's over there somewhere I don't know about.
I was gonna say I don't even know if they even sell TVs that don't have streaming services or apps or anything on them these days.
Probably over there with the CD players and all that.
Hey, now vinyl records are still they're making a huge
yes.
comeback.
Our music agent's son had quite the collection of those and called them vinyls. And I said, dude, those are records. Yeah. Y'all don't get to change the name of them.
Just because you're young doesn't mean you get to change the whole thing.
No cap.
Well, Dudley, let's get you out of here, man. Again, today, 3 o'clock for baseball and softball. Then softball has a doubleheader that'll start again at 5:30. So it'll be
Iowa 10-3, really good. The Illini 7-6, and then Missouri State struggling at 1-9. That's who they play on Sunday. But just the same as with Arkansas State, Missouri State always plays well in any sport against Arkansas. So you better be ready for that one too.
Yep. All right. For Dudley, myself, Jason, I want to thank you guys for jumping on with us this morning. We will be back again 10:30 next Friday for the Arkansas Diamond Report, and also Otis with the Arkansas Football Report next Thursday at 7 p.m. Y'all take care and go Hogs.